So what do you think of AdFest this year?
Well, it's an interesting year. Entries are significantly down, and well, the first reaction was that maybe there's nothing very exciting and new out here. But by the time you get down to the business end of the show and you're looking at the shortlist, you realize that there's still significantly high number of good entries in there. It's just that perhaps you'd seen them earlier during the year, so you sort of feel that it isn't new. But by the time you come back there, you realize, like, well, it's just been about 6 months or so since you've seen it. So to sum it up, I think the quality of the winners is still very high. The winners this year will be winners in any other year. It's just perhaps made people a lot more discerning about sending in borderline stuff. So people who are pretty sure about the quality of their entries have probably put them in. So it's been an easier call for the judges this year. That's the way I look at it.
You think it takes away from the festival that there aren't as many people?
Well, I think it certainly is missing a bit of the buzz in terms of the delegates. And I think that does make a bit of a difference. Some people that I've talked with, they've said that that's not necessarily a bad thing, that there are less people around. But I feel like it lacks a little bit of the energy, and part of that energy is what was the good bit about AdFest. So I do miss that a little. And I hope that next year, when the economic contagion has gone off, that it's back to the same sort of energy levels as before. And that's one of the things I like about AdFest. I think the setting, everything is nice, and right now with the Made in Asia theme, I think that they've begun to position themselves more clearly as a show for Asians by Asians. Not that that is ultimately going to make that much of a difference for people putting in the entries, but I think their commitment to high quality judges and this commitment to expense even in tough economic times, I think is a good sign that they're here to stay. And I think they'll continue to do well. Okay, all I can say is that basically the big winners at Cannes will be big winners here. Yeah. And that's why initially my reaction was that maybe there's not something very new in here, but it's just because I'd sort of seen it about 9 months back. If you sort of look at the outstanding work even from Cannes, you will realize that that work will stand out even this year. The Jeep campaign from Malaysia is a brilliant campaign, and it was very well loved by all the judges. And so was the Penguin campaign out of Malaysia. So they were very good, and there was a campaign for public service in China, which basically shows beautiful Chinese painting illustrations. But within those beautiful landscape paintings, there are signs of how human beings are destroying the environment with cranes and bulldozers and whatnot. And it's a beautifully executed campaign, and that was a very popular one with the judges too. So I saw a couple of campaigns that I liked, and at least there's a fair bit of unanimity amongst the best, or the best work amongst all the judges. Well, as they say, the cream rises to the top, and there was a lot of unanimity amongst the absolute top bits. When you look at the fringe bits around the bronzes, there's always a fair bit of sort of variance in how different people view it. So the other ones that I hadn't seen, and I think that have done well and should do well in international shows, is a campaign from India for Bajaj exhaust fans. It's a very nice idea, it's very nicely done, it was very well. I think the China public service campaign that I mentioned earlier, that's new, that's fresh, and it's beautiful, and I'm sure it'll go down very well with Western audiences because it plays on Asian art and it's stunningly art directed and executed. That'll do well. And there was one more campaign which is beautiful, and I'm not sure whether that was at Cannes last year, and it was basically for a washing detergent, and it basically shows the confidence in how quickly it can be washed. Stains can be removed in one wash, and you've got basically very funny print ads which show like the price of a t-shirt actually written on the t-shirt by the roadside vendors, and at the bottom is a strap line saying that, you know, you can clean the stains in one wash with this detergent. So it's basically signs of confidence shown by either the users or the sellers in writing things on objects that you never write it. So this price is written on clothes. You've got little test results or something scribbled around the shirt cuff, or directions, road directions written on the cuff of a person's shirt. So it's a very nice dramatization of the fact that the detergent is very confident that it can remove stains in one wash. And I think that was from Thailand, and I think that's a very good one, and I'm sure.
Do you notice more good entries coming out of China this year?
Well, that was the outstandingly good piece from JWT in China, and last year there was a big one too in terms of Adidas, and that was from TVWA. I think it's the same creative director who was on both the projects, so at least he's been consistently doing something well over the last couple of years. And I think that that's the beginning of something for an industry where every year, at least if you've got one big campaign coming out from a country, it starts building a bit of a momentum. I didn't see that many entries from China this year as I saw last year, but definitely China's beginning to come of age more in the last 2 or 3 years than it ever was before. And if you notice, out of the maybe 5 most loved press and poster campaigns this year, one of them is from India and one of them is from China. And that basically goes to show that the bigger countries are coming of age even in the quality of the work and not just in the quantity of the entries. So that's a good sign. Like, you've got the 2 big regional superpowers having one big campaign each coming through in the top 5. That's a good sign. Thailand's still there. Singapore hasn't had its best of years, but Singapore goes through this phase where it maybe doesn't have one good year and then bounces back very strongly another year. So I hope that's the case.